What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pick Six podcast. So great to be back with you all for episode number 4. Today, we're going to be reacting to all of our Week 12 games and matchups, and we're going to be doing a new segment of the show where we answer some very important questions as the season comes to an end. We didn't have too bad of a weekend. We actually split even at 500, so we had a 3-3 record this weekend. Could have been better. A lot of close games, so even though we didn't get all the picks right, we only got half of them right technically. They were all close games, except for one, which we will get into. And our 7th pick, which is technically our bonus pick, we did knock it out of the park. So I will say, if there's one pick I'm proud of out of this entire weekend, it is pick number 7, our bonus pick. We'll also get into that. With us having a 3-3 record, we are now 7-5 on the season. So since we launched the Pick Six podcast, 7 wins, 5 losses. Not the greatest, but it could always be worse. We have a winning record. We're above 500, so we'll take it. Let's go ahead and jump into Week 12 reactions. Man, what a week in college football. I mean, just such an amazing Saturday. Two really good Saturdays in a row. The only thing that was different for me personally was this past Saturday, I got to sit down and watch all the games uninterrupted. I have the best wife ever who just let me enjoy the day, studied all the games. I had multi-view up on YouTube. ESPN and YouTube ended their dispute, so I finally got to watch all the games I wanted, including ESPN, SEC Network, ACC Network, ABC. All those networks are back, so it was jam-packed, and man, it just felt like every time slot for games, the noon time slot, 3:30 time slot, 7 p.m. time slot. There was just a lot of great games this weekend. Let's jump in to game number 1. We got this pick correct, passed it with flying colors, is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, number 9, defeated the Pitt Panthers, who I believe were number 22 at the time. 37-15, not a close game. And honestly, if we look at our prediction last week, it wasn't that far off. I believe our prediction was 31-17 and Notre Dame win, and it was pretty close. Really from the beginning of the game, it was a dominant performance by Notre Dame. Now, I know they weren't perfect. They didn't have a ton of total yards, less than 400, but still played a great game, played some solid defense, got some interceptions, some turnovers. They started out the game, I believe, 14-0, ended up getting up 21-3. The game was never really in doubt from kickoff. And could it have something to do with Pat Narduzzi saying a foolish comment? Sure, that could have been part of it. I think you should amp up your team. Obviously, we talked about that. But man, Notre Dame is cruising, man. They're not in a conference. They're an independent. And I just don't see how they don't get a spot in the playoff. And I don't see how they don't make a run in the playoff this year as well. We'll talk more about that at the end of the pod. Game number 2. We were not so fortunate to get this one correct. This was Oklahoma at Alabama. Now, in this game, I would root for Oklahoma. I just didn't think they had what it took to take down Bama. And I was wrong. Oklahoma goes on the road, takes down Alabama. John Mateer, that defense, stingy defense, they win the game by 2 points, 23-21. What an absolute game. I had people in my comments, even after the game, saying that it's ridiculous I don't have Ty Simpson in my Heisman top 5. And I joked with him. I said, he's probably right outside the top 5 at 6 or 7, if you get it 6-7. But man, he really didn't play all that great of a game. He didn't play terrible, but sure, he threw for around 300-ish plus yards. But he threw a pick 6. There's a sack fumble. The defense capitalized on these turnovers. He did not play a outstanding game by any measure. And so he's had some very average performances. Nothing against him. Think he's a good kid. But man, Oklahoma's defense absolutely stingy. They go to 8-2, and they got a real shot at the playoff. As long as they keep winning out, they got 2 more games to go. So as long as they win their last 2, they're in. Oklahoma's in. And Alabama, right now, I think they'd be in, but we'll see. They make it to the SEC championship and lose. Does a committee view that differently? We don't know, but we're going to find out in the next couple of weeks. So props to Oklahoma, John Mateer, Brent Venables, that coaching staff did a great job. He's a defensive-minded coach, and that's why he likes calling the plays, because he knows how to force turnovers. He knows how to capitalize on the offense's mistakes. Game number 3, we bounced back. We got this one correct. The USC Trojans take down the Iowa Hawkeyes, who at the time of recording this, and at the time they played at least, was ranked number 21. So this was a number 17 versus 21 game. Man, this is not the start I pictured. Obviously, we talked about the forecast, right? The rain, all the elements happening. You know, I'm watching the pregame. They got squeegees on the field, there's water everywhere. And it just turned out to be another nasty Saturday for football. But Iowa gets up 21-7. And I'm just like, are they really about to blow out USC? Like, there's no way. Iowa. Guys, I said Iowa. Goes on the road to the Coliseum and blows out USC. There's no chance, right? Man, I had my doubts when I saw that scoreboard, 21-7. But shout out to USC. They kept fighting. I mean, Iowa, to my knowledge, I don't think scored any points in the second half. USC fought back, clawed back, came back to win this thing 26-21. And that is a win that the USC Fighting Trojans really needed. Lincoln Riley really needed a statement signature win like this. So shout out to them. Shout out to USC. And their playoff hopes are very much alive. They go on the road at Oregon this weekend. So the rubber's about to meet the road. We'll find out. One of those teams, I believe, in that game will propel themselves into the playoff, and the other one will probably get knocked out of the conversation. Game number 4 is UCLA at Ohio State. Now, you, me, and everybody's mama knew that Ohio State was going to win this game. That's no secret. However, I will say this. After we recorded the pod last week, I changed my pick, and I usually don't reserve the right to do that. However, if there is a significant change to the game, then I reserve the right to do it. I am counting this as a good pick for us, as a win for us. Ohio State wins the game. Yes, they cover the points, the spread, which was 32.5 at the time we picked it. However, I did switch my pick. I promise you, in my own time, I switched my pick, and I switched Ohio State to covering because Friday night, we find out, breaking news, Nico Iamaleava is not playing. He's out, concussion protocol. I mean, say what you want. Maybe the athletic trainers held him back. I think he was personally scared to play in a night game at the Shoe again. No disrespect to him. It could be legitimate health reasons. But man, if I was him, I'd probably sit that one out too, knowing you're probably going to lose by 30. Anyways, the Buckeyes do cover, take the points, which I did switch my pick. I promise you, I can prove it. I'm not going to go there, but I can prove that I switched my pick. That's all I'm going to say, and I'll leave it there. The next game was Michigan at Northwestern. Wow, what a game. I told y'all last week, didn't seem like that interesting of a game. Didn't really care to watch it until towards the end of the week. Joel Klatt was on the call, so he's studying, he's breaking down film. He's someone I look up to in the industry. And man, he had a point. He said this Northwestern team was stingy and they were going to play hard, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, obviously, we see the final score. Hindsight's 2020. We see that Michigan won the football game. But if I present you with all these stats, all these facts on this game, you would probably tell me, if I didn't show you the final score, you would probably tell me there's no way Michigan won this football game. Zero chance. Zero chance. If you watch some of the tape without looking at the scoreboard, seeing who was the more physical team, it was not Michigan. It was the Northwestern Wildcats all day cracking Michigan, like taking players down. Obviously, the point is not to injure players, but man, I feel like half of Michigan's team got injured during that game. And not to mention, Michigan missed 2 field goals with Zavada, which is one of the best kickers in college, in my opinion. At least was last year, and I guess we'll see this year. Been a little shaky the last few games, but missed his first 2 field goals of the game. And then Michigan turns the ball over 5 times. 5 times. 5 turnovers. Northwestern turned it over 0. So Michigan lost the turnover battle by 5 and somehow still won with a game-winning field goal. Way for Zavada to come back and kick that thing through the uprights and just say, you know what? We live to fight another week. We live to stay in the playoff conversation. We'll fix all the things next week. However, man, I missed the upset on this. I thought Northwestern was win, but I regret nothing. Northwestern went out there and played an amazing game. Played physical, forced turnovers, just couldn't quite get it done at home at Wrigley Field. But I digress. All right, now here is maybe the most embarrassing pick I had last week and didn't know it until after the fact was Texas at Georgia. I told you guys, I was straight up with you guys. I was honest with you guys. I said there is a chance that Georgia just goes out there and pummels Texas. There's a chance. Like every part of me wanted to go that route, wanted to make that pick, wanted to make that prediction. I just couldn't. I mean, I just could not see Texas losing their third game of the season, possibly taking themselves completely out of the CFP conversation. And what happens? Texas goes out there, obviously, to a tough place to play at Georgia and lays an egg. Did not play a great game. They had a chance. To get momentum back. I believe it was in the third quarter. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe second quarter. But they score. They go down the field. They score a touchdown, and it's 14-10. Texas scores, only down 4, and boom, they give the ball to Georgia. Georgia takes the ball all the way down the field. What do? They score 21-10. They're like, okay, Texas still got a shot, just only a 2-possession game. And Kirby Smart makes an absolutely brilliant call. He calls a surprise onside kick, catches Texas off guard, and gets the ball back and scores again, making it 28-10. And we know the final score was 35-10. But just an outstanding performance by Georgia. Love the trick plays. Gunnar Stockton, truthfully, he might be in my Heisman top 5 at this point. He's been nothing but resilient. And he puts his body on the line. He's a dual threat. He can run it. He can throw it. And when they have to have it, he produces. He comes through. He's clutch. I could potentially see Georgia being a real problem in the playoff this year. Now let's go to our bonus pick, final pick we'll break down of the week, just really quick. Obviously, we are not counting this towards our record, even though we got it right. The bonus picks are simply just for you guys. We had Virginia versus Duke. Now, this game, Duke was predicted to win. I mean, they were a 4-point favorite if you went on FanDuel or DraftKings, all these different sites and betting places. Everybody thought Duke was going to win, except me and maybe like 5 other people. I don't know. Obviously, Virginia had that embarrassing loss to Wake Forest last week. And apparently everybody just thought they were done for the season. They were just going to give up and throw in the towel and say, all right, it's been a good season. We give up. Throw the white flag. Wave the white flag. No, that's not what happened. And I knew that was not going to happen. Duke was in the conference championship conversation at 5-4. How embarrassing is that for the ACC? 5-4 and you're still somehow going to have a chance to make it your championship? I don't care if the losses are in conference or not. Should not have a chance. But anyways, Virginia goes out here, takes care of business, and beats Duke. They basically double them up on points, 34-17, to get to their 9th win. And they just need one more win to get to the ACC championship. Hopefully they do, because I predicted them to be there in that position. We're going to get into this segment. We want to answer a few intriguing questions, and I'd love for you to put your feedback in the comments as well. The first question is this. Who are a few teams that raise concern based on their performances in Week 12? A few teams that raise concern based on their performances in Week 12. I'm going to start this one out with my first team is Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, if you watch that game, I don't know how they came back and won it, but they did. And it's great. I'm glad they won. I'm glad on the scoreboard they won by 2 points. Was it 34-32 or 36-34, something like that? That's great. But it seems like every week, no matter who they play, no matter how bad their opponent, they're having to climb back and claw back from behind to barely win the game. They cannot keep this up. That raised so much concern for me, considering the fact that Boston College has won 1 game all year, the entire season. Like 1-9. Like, that's terrible. They're a terrible team. Don't have great talent. And somehow, Georgia Tech with a Heisman contender at quarterback in this game is down by multiple possessions towards the back part of the game. That's insane. It's insane I'm even saying that. I do not think they can keep this up because there will be tougher opponents. If they have a chance for the ACC championship, they're going to lose that game if they play like they did on Saturday. That's a team I have raised concerns for. Another team is Alabama. Alabama, I know they only have two losses. I know they only lost by 2 points. I get that. I understand that. But the fact that you are relying on Ty Simpson to pretty much single-handedly go out there and win all your games, to me, is crazy. It's crazy. They need to force more turnovers. They need to run the ball better. And they really haven't been able to do that all year. So what makes you and I think they're going to do that now? Not a whole lot. Do I think they're a good team? Yes. Do I think they have a high ceiling? Yes. But when their offense is not clicking on all cylinders, when Ty Simpson is not making special magical plays, it's not great. It's not great, and it's a big concern, especially as we get towards the SEC championship, college football playoff. This could come back to bite them when we get to the first or second round of the playoffs. Another team raised concern is raised for is Michigan. Obviously, I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm not trying to be biased. This is a totally unbiased take, but how could you not be concerned? I get it. They have a young team. I get it. They have a true freshman quarterback. This is his first year playing. He's learning and growing. But it seems like he peaked at the middle of the season. Now we get to the end of the season, and he's not doing very well. And not to mention their first running back, Justice Haynes, surgery, out for the season. Second running back, Marshall, boom, hurt his shoulder. He could be out for a few games, including the game. He could miss that game. There's a lot of concern for me considering they had 5 turnovers, 2 missed field goals. Like, yeah, it's great you came back and won the game. And with all due respect to Northwestern, they are a tough team, but it's Northwestern. Like, if they get to the playoff, they're going to play actual teams who are ranked. No offense to Northwestern. They're going to play teams who hit you hard. And Northwestern hit hard. Man, there's a lot of concern raised for me about Michigan. Not just going into this Ohio State game, but even if they take down the Buckeyes or somehow wiggle their way into the playoffs, a lot of concern. I have a hard time believing they can make a run to the quarterfinals or semifinals in the CFP. And the last team that I have a raised concern for in the CFP is Texas A&M. Yes, I get it. They're one of 3 teams that is undefeated in Division I college football. I get that. I understand that. But if you watched what I watched on Saturday, my mouth was to the floor. My mouth was jaw dropped. Like South Carolina is not a great team. All respect to Shane Beamer and what he's doing there. All respect to Lenore Sellers. I think he's a good QB. He's had his ups and downs. But they're not a great team. 3-6 going into that game. And guess what the score is at halftime? 30-3. That's right. 30-3. Texas A&M was down by 27 points at halftime to an unranked team who's lost more games than they have won. And they're one of the top 3 teams in the nation. I do want to pause for a moment and reflect and give them props for coming back to win that game by 1 point, 31-30. But man, there are going to be teams that they are going to face that you're not going to be able to come back from if you're down 30-3. It's just not going to happen. I mean, South Carolina, no offense, such a bad team that you can come back from that. They didn't do a lick in the second half. I mean, they played pretty good in the first half, I'm not going to lie. Caused several turnovers, should have been about 5 interceptions. But man, my concern meter is probably about an 8 out of 10 for Texas A&M right now as we get to the end of the season because South Carolina, you can be losing 30-3 to them and come back and somehow win if you play stellar and perfect like they pretty much did in the second half. But if you get down 30-3 versus a Georgia or versus an Alabama, I don't know how that works. And I don't see how they win that game. We're going to go to our final question, final segment of the day. And here's the question we're going to unpack. Who are a few sneaky good teams that you don't want to see in the playoff based on their resume and the eye test? a few sneaky good teams that you don't want to see in the CFP based on their resume and their eye test. Well, first we're going to start off with Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. Just what an outstanding season. They have not had a season like this in a while. They are playing lights out. They beat the doors off of UCF this past weekend. And they're truly trending towards a conference championship. And Jacob Rodriguez, that linebacker there, they put him in the ball game. I believe they handed it off to him or tossed the ball to him or whatever. Got him a touchdown as a defensive player to pad his stats. And I love that because I think Rodriguez is an amazing player. He's got a bright future. And shoot, we might see him in New York in a few weeks. So truthfully, as an Ohio State fan, I do not want to see Texas Tech in the playoffs. I don't. There's a lot of other teams I would rather play instead of Texas Tech. I think they're a great team. Another team that is a sneaky good team that I don't want to match up against as any team really is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I mean, as we've talked about, they have won 9 games straight or whatever it is. And they're playing good. They're playing good football. I mean, yes, their defense has been a little bit underwhelming for the first half of the season, give or take a few games, but they've really picked it back up. That offense, CJ Carr's playing well. Jeremiah Love, honestly, he might be in New York too. Best running back in the country, hands down, Jeremiah Love. I mean, I was scared in the national championship last year because I knew how good of a player Jeremiah Love is, and I think he's even better this year. So if I'm in the playoff, a team I do not want to play, and I would stay out of their way, is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I truly think they can make another run again and find themselves into the semifinals, maybe back into the championship game. I don't know if they win it, but man, whoever they play, whether it's Georgia, whether it's up against Oregon or Indiana or Ohio State, they better watch out because they're going to put up a fight. They're going to put their best foot forward, and they're not going down without a fight. It's going to be an absolute rock fight for whoever they play in the playoffs. And my final team as we close out the episode, a sneaky good team that I feel like most people have forgot about is the Oregon Ducks. Now, the reason most people forgot about this is because they never lose at home, right? They never lose at Autzen Stadium. And what happens? Indiana, as an underdog, goes into Autzen Stadium and beats Oregon soundly by 10. And I get that. Great win. Indiana's one of the best teams in college football. But all Oregon has been doing was quietly winning games while the attention, the spotlight's not on them right now. Basically, people just stopped believing them after the Indiana loss. And we're not realizing that they're still rolling over teams. They just absolutely steamrolled Minnesota Friday night, 42-13. And I think Oregon is not going to have a first round exit like they did last year, or whatever you want to call it, quarterfinal exit, their first game playing. I think they're going to be played very well. They're very well coached. Obviously, Dante Moore, clutch quarterback, a lot of talent. If I'm in the playoffs, even as an Ohio State fan, I know what we did. We dismantled Oregon as the number 1 team last year in the playoffs. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to play them this year. I don't. I do not want the smoke. I do not want a rematch unless we absolutely have to in the Natty to get the trophy. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to play Oregon. They're a tough team. And sure, they're not getting the publicity. They're not getting all the praise and the pats on the back because they lost to Indiana at home. But they're still a really good football team. And they still got a lot of talent. And they still only have 1 loss. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back towards the end of the week for our picks, our previews, and our breakdowns, and our 6 games that we're going to focus on. Hope you all have an amazing week. We'll see you back here at the end of the week. God bless.